The ACC still has a team standing in the college football playoff, and let's talk about what it's going to take for Miami to slow down that Ole Miss offense. Let's assemble the squad.
You're talking ball with the ACC squad. From Florida State to North Carolina, from Syracuse to Miami, and from NC State to California, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming ACC weekend. Hang on, it could get loud, it could get heated, and it will definitely be fun. Squad up, you're part of the ACC squad.
The Miami Hurricanes and Ole Miss Rebels do battle tonight in the Fiesta Bowl semifinal of the college football playoff. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making the ACC squad your first listen. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. We are part of the #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll talk ACC transfer portal because there's certainly a lot going on in the portal. Maybe not a whole lot going on in the ACC, but there's a lot going on. We do have some important ACC departures, though, to talk about. We'll talk about Miami's keys against Ole Miss. I am Alex Donno from Locked On Canes. We got Jackson Holzer from Locked On Syracuse. We got Jarvis Davis from Locked On Georgia Tech. We got Grayson Boone from Locked On Wolfpack. Brian Smith from Locked On Seminoles and the Portal Podcast. And Brian, I will let you buy the first round. What's it going to take for Miami to frustrate and hopefully slow down that dynamic Ole Miss offense with Trinidad Chambliss at quarterback playing out of his mind lately?
Yeah, he was really good against Georgia. Give that young man a lot of credit for pass catchers and everybody else. But Miami's pass rush does a great job of getting home with 4. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. Every defense is different when you can drop 7 or 8. It's amazing how that works. And when you have edge rushers like they do, especially in that first quarter, it is paramount that Ole Miss gets first downs and wears out the Miami defense, even if it's short passes, short runs, whatever, and to stay in front of the chains. Don't get in 3rd and 8. 3rd and 8 is bad. It's very, very bad. You have to be able to stay ahead of the chains. Hopefully for them, I mean, they can run the ball, but I'm not sure that's going to go great because I think Miami's interior D-line is pretty good too. Their middle linebacker's good. I think they're going to have some problems there. So Miami's key, no dumb turnovers on their offense, obviously, but defensively, no dumb penalties. Do not extend drives. Ole Miss does not need any help. They've got plenty of playmakers and just tackle. Eventually, they're probably going to succumb to a penalty or something stupid happen. And if you frustrate them, Trinidad might throw it up. Just one play can change it because I don't think Ole Miss's defense is going to be able to slow down Miami's run game.
I think one of the things for me is that this is one of those games where Carson Beck can really elevate his draft status because going into when he was at Georgia, going into that season, he was projected to be the #1 overall pick, and he proceeded to just crap it down the bed throughout the entire season. I'm just like, bro, well, you just fumbled in the bag like no other. But I think this game is going to be a good opportunity for him to kind of really take that status because he's good for one of those unexplainable games. I know you know he's had some this year. So when you look at it from that aspect, I feel like this dude cannot have one of those games. This would be the absolute worst time for him to have one of those games. All he has to do is just kind of stay in the pocket, turn around and hand that bad boy off and get that run game established and then, and play off of that. And I think the Canes will be fine. But yeah, man, Beck has a big opportunity right here to kind of really get that bag back, so to speak.
I don't really think Miami and specifically Carson Beck really have to change much of anything right now. I mean, they just beat Ohio State, who many, including myself, considered to be the favorite to win the college football playoff entirely. So now you're going up against an Ole Miss team, and Ole Miss is really, really good, and they have that elite offense. But we know that Miami's defense can basically hang with anybody in the country and actually pretty much stop anyone in the country. So when I look at Carson Beck, I say it's very simple. Don't suck. Like that's it. Like he doesn't need to. The point is that he doesn't need to elevate his draft status. He doesn't need to go out there and feel like he needs to prove something to the world and needs to go out there and throw 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, sure. If Miami's defense craps the bed and all of a sudden Ole Miss just figures them out, he may have to do that. But based on what we have seen from the Miami defense, okay, Carson Beck, hang in the pocket, don't turn the ball over, give the ball to Mark Fletcher and his band of merry men of running backs that they have to go after, and that's it. Like that's all he has to do. And therefore, if that is able to occur, Miami should win this game.
Yeah, I think Jackson nailed it. For Carson Beck especially, just be a game manager. They don't need him to be a superhero because they haven't needed him to be one against Texas Tech or Ohio State. The defense has carried them so far, and all he has to do is basically just help them get across the finish line. And, you know, for Ole Miss, the superpower, for, I guess you could say, for Trinidad Chambliss is his ability to improv. So will he be able to escape the pocket and make magic happen? He did that against Georgia. Can Miami prevent that from happening? I think that'll be one of the biggest keys. I thought Brian nailed it with the run game for Ole Miss. I don't know how they're going to try and get Kewan Lacey going, even though I think he's having quietly like one of the better seasons in recent memory for running back, and nobody's really talking about him. But Miami, I do see the advantage for the Hurricanes in this game. Defense will win you championships, and on a stage like this one, this is where you get it done.
Yeah, Kewan Lacey on the year, just under 1,500 yards and double-digit touchdowns, but Miami's got a top-5 rushing defense, so it's the rock meets the hard place on this one. And, you know, to what Brian was saying about Miami's interior defensive line, the Hurricanes have seemingly gotten some good news this week. It's all but confirmed that defensive tackle Ahmad Moten Sr., who's one of their key run stoppers, is going to play. You know, he picked up an injury early in the Ohio State game and didn't return, but it looks like he's on track to play in the defensive backfield. O.J. Frederick, who's one of Miami's starting corners, is going to play. He was taken off the injury report completely. You know, Miami does have a deep defensive backfield, but this is the type of game where you need all of them, because an area outside of how good Trinidad Chambliss is, an area where Ole Miss excels is spreading the football around to 4-5 different receivers. So you need to have as many DBs rotating as possible. You know, in terms of Miami's rushing offense in this one, you guys outlined the defensive keys perfectly, talked a little bit about Miami's running game. This is a game where on paper, now the game's played on grass, not on paper, but you would think Miami is going to be able to get their running game going. You know, Mark Fletcher's been averaging 140 plus per game so far in the playoffs, and Ole Miss brings in the 65th ranked rushing defense in the country. They've given up a lot of yards throughout the year. They did do a fine job adjusting against Georgia with their run defense, but of course Miami's going to try to lean on them with their physical offensive line. And yeah, on Carson Beck, lately he has excelled at not sucking. That's kind of been his superpower over the past 6 weeks. He's only thrown one interception over his past 6 games. I think he's played really well in the context of the offense. You know, maybe this is a type of game, and obviously Ole Miss has got to be a really, really good team to get as far as they've gotten to, but it's probably not the toughest defense Miami has faced. So of our best offense Miami has faced all season long, let alone the playoffs, but probably not the best defense they've faced yet. So this could be a game where Malachi Toney's able to get going a little bit more, because Ohio State and Texas A&M both did a really good job kind of keeping him locked up for most of that game. So maybe he can break out in this one. But when we come back, want to go around the table and get predictions. And we'll talk some transfer portal because it's wild. You've got players who could potentially get sued for entering the portal. The Big Ten takes their agreements very, very seriously, more so than the ACC apparently. You want to keep it locked right here. We are only getting started on this brand new episode of the Locked On ACC Squad. And we're only getting started with Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, it happens. Bills that keep going up, they never go down, right? And trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down all the hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Folks, I love how it tracks all my subscriptions. I had way too many, and it lets me cancel them right in the app with just a few taps. No more hunting down customer service numbers. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. I can finally see exactly where my money is going every month. You can set budgets and goals, get personalized insights, and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. thank you so much for making the Locked On ACC Squad your first listen. And if you love the shows on this network, including Locked On Syracuse, Locked On Georgia Tech, Locked On Seminoles and the Portal Pod, Locked On NC State, Locked On Wolfpack, I should say, and Locked On Canes, you got to check out the Everydayer Club. Guys, you can get exclusive newsletters, one-on-one text messages, exclusive Discord access, ad-free editions of all the shows. Check out the link in the show notes below to join the Everydayer Club today. All right, fellas, I've gone record a couple times this week on my predictions, so I'll stick with it. I do see Miami having the edge in this one, and again, physicality, line of scrimmage play, trying to keep Trinidad Chambliss off balance. I think the key is going to be containing him, because like Jackson mentioned, when he gets outside the pocket is when he's at his most dangerous. I've got Miami 31-24, which, relatively high-scoring game compared to the ones Miami's played so far. So I'm going 31-24 Miami. What say you, Jackson Holzer?
I think a high-scoring game probably benefits Ole Miss because they have the better offense, but I don't think it's going to be as high-scoring as you're predicting. I think Miami is going to win this game. Been going back and forth, 24-17. That's what I'm going with. I think that it's going to be low-scoring enough to where Miami's offense is going to be able to do enough against that Ole Miss defense, which is pretty susceptible. And Miami's defense against a very good Trinidad Chambliss and that offense is just going to be able to hold it down enough, just enough, by enough time for Carson Beck to make, look, I said he doesn't need to suck, but also he's going to be called upon to make one or two throws in this game, and he's going to be able to make those one or two throws, and Miami wins this game.
I think it's going to be 21-17 Miami. And like one thing when it comes to football, especially when you get into the playoffs and start getting deep into it and getting close to the championship game, there's going to come a time where something's going to happen where you're not used to. Miami's probably going to feel like they're going to get scored on early. And I think Carson Beck is going to have to make a play early, and then they'll end up finishing it out, because the one thing that I love about this football team is the fact that Ruben Bain and all these guys, man, they're hard hitting, coming down, smacking folks, and I don't see a flag nowhere coming around, and they letting them play football. That's old school football to me. And I think that when in today's world where nobody wants to touch anyone, everybody just want to kind of wrap each other up and throw each other on the ground, and they want to throw all these flags and all that stuff, I feel like Miami is just – it just lets you know these guys are being coached like crazy, and these guys are getting after it, man. So, yeah, I think that's going to happen. But ultimately, though, I feel like Carson Beck is going to have to make a play to turn this game so that it can work out in the defense's favor.
Give me Miami 28-23, and Malachi Tony's going to have 2 touchdowns. Defense will be the reason.
Wow, that's straightforward. I like Miami. I like Miami 31-21. I think they'll have a defensive play that seals the game, whether it's a pick six, scoop and score, or sets up a short field. I just think eventually, well, Trinidad's awesome. Not taking anything away from that young man. Yeah. I think Miami's pressure will eventually cause a big play that seals the game for the Hurricanes.
Man, I love, there's so many storylines in this game, and obviously in the other bracket, Indiana's a tremendous storyline as well. But you think about, Miami's the team that, I didn't expect them to get in on that selection day. I thought, they're going to get snubbed. Notre Dame's going to get in. Miami isn't. A lot of people thought they shouldn't have gotten in, and they just knocked off the defending champs. Gosh, you talk about storylines. Ole Miss had their head coach walk out on them right before the playoffs and poach assistant coaches and try to tamper with players that were on that roster to bring them to LSU. And yet they've gotten as far as they have, and they just knocked off Georgia. So, just incredible storylines for both of these teams. And, if Miami does win this game, they would essentially be hosting the championship game. It's another goal. They'd be playing at Hard Rock Stadium on January 19th. So that's more incentive for Miami. But Jarvis, I want to pick up on something you were talking about with the physicality, because, something I've noticed throughout these playoffs. Now, I'm not a big fan of ACC referees, as you guys may know, and Miami has never had ACC crews in the playoff because you always get neutral crews. And I have noticed, crews from the Big 12, the SEC, they let them play a little bit more. So think that's benefited because I'm used to watching Miami and there's 12 flags getting thrown, probably 20 in total, 12 on Miami. You're not seeing a whole lot of flags, and I think that's helped Miami thrive a little bit more, that they're not getting called for all the ticky-tack stuff.
Absolutely, man. And when you think about it, like, these guys are playing some good ball, man. They're playing good football, and like I said, with what's going on in today's game and the wussifying of football, that's what I call it. I think that the Big Ten, the SEC understands it, right? Because guys are bigger, faster, stronger. I think there are a lot of numbers to back that up. When it comes to who comes out of the conference, as far as going to the NFL, and you even look at the NFL in the playoffs, they let guys play a little bit more too. So I don't mind that mindset, right? Because you want the best team to win. You don't want the referees to have an effect on the game because they call targeting and the guy is out for in the first quarter and the guy's out for the rest of the game. You don't want to see that. That happened in the Georgia game. So for me, I love the fact that they're allowing them to play, because ultimately the best team is going to win.
Yeah. Well, I want to shift over to the transfer portal. And so let me start with the man I refer to as the recruiting overlord and the portal overlord, the host of the Portal Pod, and Brian Smith, who's also the host of Locked On Seminoles. Ed, all right, so Brian, you're going to make history on this episode because you are the only human being who either covers or roots for Florida State who's actually a fan of the quarterback that they just picked up to be their starter in Ashton Daniels. It's like, I mean, I have way too many Florida State fans on my X timeline, and they're all complaining about Ashton Daniels. I mean, you're actually a fan of this move. Why?
A couple of reasons. Number one, I am biased. I know him from his high school days. He played at Buford up there in Jarvis's territory. Mm-hmm. Really good kid. Went to Stanford, got completely hosed because he didn't play with a very good team. Transferred to Auburn, sat behind Jackson Arnold for most of the year, which was a terrible decision on Auburn's part. That guy just stinks. But when he finally got unshackled, got put in the lineup, and Hugh Freeze was gone, he could actually throw and run. He had 100-plus yards rushing against Bama and Vandy, had 250 against Bama throwing, and over 300 against Vandy. He could throw it, and he's the kind of guy you want on your team from a leadership standpoint. He's an elite student. He won't cause any problems. And here's the big one in today's world. He will be a hell of a lot cheaper than a lot of other guys. Like Lagway, the numbers that he wants and stuff like that. Bye. See you later. I don't know. Jarvis can take him up there at Georgia Tech. I know they love paying people big dollars up there at Tech.
I don't think that would be a good idea for him.
I don't know. DJ Lagway up here talking about Cam Newton comparisons, Gus Malzahn.
I
was like,
oh yeah,
what the hell was that?
No, sir.
That was so hilarious.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not. You will not.
Gus Malzahn, like so when he visited Florida State, and allegedly Gus Malzahn is like, hey, you remind me of Cam Newton. And then the next day they signed Ashton Daniels.
I mean,
I'm
behind
these
Florida
Satan.
State didn't
That
offer
is
him a
not.
blank check.
No.
What are we doing here if this guy's Cam Newton?
Yeah,
It must be two Cam Newtons.
Yeah, it got to be. It got to be because
until you've met Cam and shaking his hand, like that's not a normal human being. I've been around both. Cam's different.
I think people are starting to really figure out what DJ Lagway actually is, because look at the teams that are still in on him. Baylor, like
he's not
Alabama
that
team
good.
is starting to go down now. He's just like, I don't know.
His
like,
number, Jarvis, unless you're going to chip in for somebody, his number pretty high. I don't know where he's going.
Brian, what's his number?
I've just been told it's very high. I'm guessing it's north of 3.
Who is paying him that?
Let me tell you the team that will. Nobody. That's why he's still there.
Nobody Tech.
It's like
He's hurt all the time. When's he been healthy?
Yeah.
no, he's
Never.
not
I
even
like
good.
the kid. Great guy, but he's never healthy.
Yeah.
He's not good.
Yeah.
That's
that's-
another
That's
issue.
a part of it too.
He's not good.
Actually,
Game
he
against
sucks.
LSU, the guy was blind.
5 picks. in
What
that
are we
game.
doing?
5.
He looks good getting off the bus, man. After that, it's kind of like I'm still waiting.
So that's
and if he doesn't end up at Baylor, then there's big red flags, because Baylor, that's where his dad played. He's from the area, so like if he ends up somewhere lower level than Baylor, there's a real problem with whatever he's asking for or whatever his physical exams have looked like. But yeah, I want to open it up when we come back. We've got representation, not only from Florida State, from Georgia Tech, from Syracuse, from NC State, from Miami, tracking the transfer portal activity in the ACC so far. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of The Squad. Thank you for making the ACC Squad your first listen. And make sure for your next listen or your next listens, you check out all of our other shows. Locked on Canes, which I host. Jackson hosts Locked on Syracuse. Jarvis hosts Locked on Georgia Tech. Brian, Locked on Seminoles. Grayson, Locked on Wolfpack. And all right, when it comes to transfer portal outgoings and incomings, and there's more outgoings because, it's easier to leave and then it takes a while to do your visits and stuff. But I think I'll let Jarvis buy the first round on this one, because there have been a lot of outgoings at Georgia Tech, that's for sure.
Yeah, Isaiah Canyon, Zion Taylor, Bailey Stockton, the incumbent starter at quarterback, Aaron Philo, everybody and their mama is going down to Gainesville seemingly. Harrison Moore, the center, everybody's gone. Everybody's leaving, and I think that's the big thing, man. And I said this on our show when Caleb and I were talking about this, like, I don't think you're setting yourself up for success if you go into this portal window without an offensive coordinator. It just doesn't make any sense, because think about it. When these guys come on and visits, they are wanting to hear how you're going to utilize them in your system. How can I benefit from coming here? How much money are you going to pay me? All of those things, all of those conversations are being had. And I feel like he kind of set himself up for failure when it comes to, being able to let Aaron Philo know, hey, here's what we're doing, because they paid the man $1 million to stay last year. He was riding the pine. He got $1 million just to sit on the bench.
So that's nasty work.
Yeah, it's crazy work, man. Buster Faulkner, the OC now at Florida. Yeah, it was some good maneuvering going on behind the scenes when it comes to this guy, because Bailey's going down there as well. So they got several guys going down to Florida coming from Tech. So yeah, I think Key is a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to like skill guys. Offensive lineman, he's kind of filled in the gaps a little bit. Looks like that offensive line starting to come together. But as far as wide receivers, Tech has one guy who caught a pass on this roster. Jordan Allen. That's it. One guy.
That means it's going to be a long year for you next year.
Probably so. Yes. I hope people like it.
Feels like it's going to be one of those years. Yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't be too sassy though, Brian, because it seems like Florida State's had a few losses as well.
They've got 30 or 31 players on scholarship that have left. That's ridiculous.
Are they? Is it all on them leaving, or is it Mike Norvell in Florida State saying, go to the portal and nudging them? Because we know that exists.
Yeah.
A little of both, but there have been too many key guys. Like Wayne McCoy just got in the portal, the Desir twins.
The twins, yeah. So,
Amari Williams, this is not a good trend. Like, there's several NFL guys that are headed to the portal. That means you're going for 5 and 7 again. I mean, that's just the way it is. So otherwise proven this team ain't going to a bowl again next year. It's not. Sorry.
How are things going with Syracuse, Jackson?
I mean, they've lost a lot of guys, but I wouldn't say they've lost anyone that's too significant. I mean, right. Yassine Willis is their starting running back who left, and he went to Kansas. So, take that for what it's worth. I mean, Darryl Gill is somehow, I like Darryl Gill. I think he's a good receiver, but he's somehow one of the top players overall in the portal. I strongly disagree with those rankings. It's not Brian who made those rankings, by the way. It was 24/7 Sports. And Jonte Cook, I thought that was probably the biggest one that they lost, but even then he had about 500 receiving yards last year. So you can replace that. Issue is, while they haven't really lost anyone that's significant, so far with Syracuse, and I don't want to sit here and panic, but it's kind of like I'm poking a stick and being like, all right, do something. They've made 3 additions so far, and I look at them and I say, I really? Are we sure? Is this the best that we're going to do? Michael Smith, tight end, upside, maybe. Juwan Johnson from LSU, 3rd string running back last year, 3.5 yards a carry. Is he going to be the running back 1?
Oof.
Cole Weaver from Miami, Ohio. I don't know. It's kind of just a wait and see type game. We know that Syracuse is trying to get themselves another quarterback, probably 2 quarterbacks in this portal cycle. They don't want to have what happened last year with Ricky Collins when Steve Angeli went down. So it's kind of just wait and see right now in Syracuse land.
What about NC State, Grayson? I know they've had some losses, but also a key retention piece with C.J. Bailey sticking around.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how long this remains true, but I think NC State's in a decent spot at the moment. Obviously, priority number 1 was C.J. Bailey, and they got the pen to paper right before the portal opened to avoid any additional stress there. You lose Hollywood Smothers to the portal, but most of us, in fact, both Kenton and I, kind of assumed he'd be going to the NFL draft, which still could happen, even though he has committed to Alabama since. But, you lose a couple pass catchers and Noah Rogers and Terrell Anderson, who's committed to USC. That's Southern Cal, not the one in South Carolina. But yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be an added focus on beefing up the trenches on both sides of the football. We've actually done some work on the offensive line already. We've retained Spike Souls, who's a freshman All-American offensive guard, who I think he'll play probably center next season. We picked up an All-AAC offensive tackle from ECU. That's Jamarian McCrimmon. And so far, the other portal addition was Victor Snow, who's an first-team All-MAC receiver from Buffalo. So kind of slow out of the gate, but I think NC State's lining up to be in a pretty decent spot once this haul is complete.
Yeah, as far as Miami goes, 0 additions yet to this point. Kind of the strategy from Mario Cristobal seems to be get through this Ole Miss game and then win or lose, try to set up a bunch of visits this weekend. I think Miami is in a good spot to land former Boston College defensive back Omar Thornton, who is from South Florida, went to American Heritage. I think that's one that could pop. In terms of departures, a couple guys that I hate to see go. Most of the ones that have left so far are, players in crowded position groups that just haven't gotten a lot of playing time yet. Miami lost wide receiver Ray Joseph, who I really like, but when he's a slot receiver. When he got to Miami, he was playing behind Xavier Restrepo for 2 years. And then you thought maybe his 3rd year he'll get chances to play. And then Malachi Toney shows up. So the timing could not have been worse for Ray Joseph. Miami lost a couple of defensive linemen. Dalen Russell, who I don't think was going to get a whole lot of burn. Dante Simpson was one. I was upset to lose him because true freshman this year. He did get some PT. I thought he would play a big role next year, but he decided to leave. Tight end Brock Schott, who, Miami has a lot of tight ends, and they also didn't use them a whole lot in the passing game this year. So he might have just thought, and he's already gone to Indiana, which is where he's from, which is really interesting because Miami might match up against Indiana in a championship game, and now they've got a guy to share all the secrets that's just arrived there. So that could be an interesting storyline to follow. And Miami lost a couple of young receivers who just weren't really going to get on the field there in Nye Carr and Chance Robinson. So that's kind of how the outlook has been for Miami. Not any huge impact guys leaving, but some players who you thought could have been a part of the future. So I guess, Brian, I'll ask you in closing, for any teams not represented here, have there been any other, big impact moves in the ACC, Clemson and otherwise?
Nothing that I would be shocked by, although the last I heard, the portal changes. If Virginia ends up with DJ Lagway, that would be a cool story because they were on that list. I don't know what they would like. If anybody here knows something that I don't, they're not big NIL here. No. How would that happen? Why was he visiting in the first place?
I would say, Brian, the only reason
market is probably
clout.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to start spending to compete with Virginia Tech and James Franklin now if they keep it up with the Joneses. If
they don't, Virginia's going to get run over because Tech allegedly got some donations and stuff like that. That could go bad. Clemson finally got somebody that was decent. I saw that. But until they get 5-6 guys, I'm not going to pay attention much to Clemson with the portal. They got to prove it to me. I'm sorry. Boston College, not buying it. not buying it at all. Then you got Jarvis up there at Georgia Tech, like they're just acting like they don't have any money. They just got 2 donations.
I got some money, man. All these rich engineers that went to that school.
Yeah, I know. They go up there in Atlanta, Jarvis. You need to get on them because that's just not acceptable. Especially
man. I told them they didn't need to let me recruit, for a nice fee. I ain't small.
Now they're going to pay you.
Yeah.
They're not even paying the players, but they're going to pay.
Hey, well, the agent's got to get something. The middleman's got to get something for that.
Exactly,
so
man.
You need an agent, a middleman.
The most important person in this country, man. Come on now.
But let's.
I know how to speak the language, baby.
Early next week, we'll have a really good feel because, like Donno was saying with Miami, a lot of visits between now and early this weekend. Everything will come to fruition next Monday, Tuesday. If you think it's wild now, wait till the nitty gritty gets to it, especially with the linemen, which there are very few in the portal. Like like Jackson, like you guys are screwed automatically.
We're screwed.
Yeah, you're not
we
getting
need linemen, and there's nobody there.
But,
yeah.
Syracuse is done, but that's
Tech got all of them seemingly.
Yeah, there's just a handful of schools that are willing to pay. Like if you're not paying $1 million or more for a defensive tackle that's just a solid player, it's over for you. Like you have to drastically overpay. Most schools just don't want to do it.
Yeah, well, we appreciate everybody for making Locked On ACC, the squad, your first listen. Again, if you missed our Miami Ole Miss preview, you want to rewind, getting you set for the big game tonight in the Fiesta Bowl. Huge shout out and thank you to Jackson Holzer from Locked On Syracuse, Jarvis Davis, Locked On Georgia Tech, Brian Smith from the Portal and Locked On Seminoles, Grayson Boone, Locked On Wolfpack. I'm Alex Donno from Locked On Canes and Locked On ACC. And we'll talk to everyone next time on another episode of the Locked On Squad, part of the #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.